Our behavior, our health, and our national stability, what we eat and what we drink. There's a hidden story of how modern eating habit and alcohol culture are fueling insecurity in Nigeria. The consumption of ultra-processed foods and processed food has heightened in both developed countries and developing countries. Across Nigeria today, many people, especially the youth, are shifting away from traditional meals towards fast foods, sugary drinks, and cheap sachet alcohol. This silent shift affects the mind, the body, and ultimately the safety of society. Nigeria once thrived on traditional meals that were nutrient-dense, balanced, and naturally prepared. But today, young Nigerians increasingly turn to processed foods, instant noodles, deep-fried snacks, pastries, and soft drinks. Poor nutrition has been said to weaken emotional stability, energy level, and long-term health, creating a population more vulnerable to stress, frustration, and unhealthy behavior patterns. Expert notes that emotional instability, driven partly by poor diet, can lead to aggressive outbursts and difficulty managing stress. At a national level, this creates a ripple effect like reduced productivity, higher unemployment, and a greater likelihood of conflict or crime. A nation's security is tied to the mental stability and health of its people. An unhealthy eating habit weakens both. One of the most alarming trends in recent years is the explosion of sachet alcohol across Nigerian streets. Cheap, portable, and available, sachet alcohol has become the gateway drink for many teenagers and young adults. This has contributed to rising domestic violence, road accidents, street fights, petty crimes, and nighttime disorder. When combined with poor nutrition, the effect becomes even more harmful, amplifying aggressions, confusion, and risky behavior. In today's digital market space, a dangerous trend is emerging. Unregulated online food vendors selling ultra-processed foods and homemade snacks laced with psychoactive substances, cookies laced with cannabis, juices mixed with hard drugs, and soft drinks spiked with psychoactive chemicals are being sold to young people under the guise of treats and party snacks. This poses serious public health and security risks. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency recently busted a 19-year-old named Praise Nwogu, popularly known as Candy the Teddy, who is a syndicate known for producing and selling cannabis-infused brownies, also called weed brownies or pot brownies. These brownies contain THC, the psychoactive component of cannabis that alters judgment, perceptions, and behavior. Products like this circulate widely among students, young professionals, and party goers, contributing to impaired decision-making, risky behavior, addictions, and even violent outbreaks. This hidden drugs trend within everyday snacks shows how modern eating habits are becoming intertwined with substance abuse and how food itself is being used as a new channel for drug distribution in Nigeria. You are what you eat. Join us in this episode as we discuss modern eating habits, alcohol culture, and public security.
Hello and welcome to 360 Youth Dialogue, where we talk about issues affecting the youth and how the youth affects these issues. My name is Juliet Ora. So good to have you join us here on 360 Youth Dialogue. Today on Third Eye Africa TV. Today we're talking about a specific topic that resonates with so many people, but they really do not know that this affects them. Modern eating habits, alcohol culture, substance abuse, and public security. They say what we eat shapes how we live, and how we live end up shaping our society. Today, to talk about this, I have a registered dietitian. I always bring on point. I always bring the expert here. I have a registered dietitian and a nutritionist. Her name is Rosvalene. I don't know if I pronounced that or murdered that name. Rosvalene Uzoma Obia. Welcome to 360 Youth Dialogue.
Thank you very much. I'm so excited it's a security station. So I have every right. I have every right. I reserve the remaining now because you just murdered the name. took it to court, brought it back again, and continued the murdering. It's Rosvalene. Thank you for having
Rosvaline,
me.
thank you for joining us
Yeah,
here.
thank
I
you for
mean,
having me.
don't worry.
Okay,
Your name is secured. I won't murder your name anymore.
thank you.
Okay, let's start with the icebreaker here on a lighter note. As a nutritionist, what is that common food you've seen people, always abuse all the time?
All right, the common food people always abuse, like we have in our, listen, mostly our processed foods. Then the spicy foods.
Oh.
They tend to shift from the spicy foods to the savory foods. Shift from the savory to the spicy. I give an instance. You don't want to be seen with taking yam and maybe yam and sauce or yam and soup in the morning or swallow with soup in the morning because in their thoughts, I not be village person.
Yeah.
I'm not a village person. You want to do tea in the morning, but what if you don't have tea? What if you don't have access to tea? So you see that the aspect of trying to fit into a particular group of persons that you are not gives you that exposure to the wrong choice of food. Why do you know within yourself, I grow yam, I have yam. What if I do yam and oil? No. Or maybe you're eating yam and oil, your friend comes, pop, 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 pop. Ha, my friend. The next minute is telling you know I met my friend eating yam and oil. And you're not proud of what you have. So that is one of the many things that people abuse when it comes to food.
Growing up, when my parents would say, we're eating, let's say, eba and a soup, I feel like you hate me so much. Why would you give me eba this morning? I mean, did I do something wrong? But like you pointed out, start do with what you have.
Exactly.
And that's what every family should know about.
Sure.
Let's talk about security. Have you ever considered that what we eat or drink daily can, affect Nigeria as a whole, Nigeria's security?
It's already happening. It's already a reality. The first insecurity that it has posed on ourselves is our health hazard. Gonna those days, when you talk about diabetes, you talk about kidney, you talk about cancer, they were diseases that you have to be schooled to know them. But now it's not even about being schooled. It's affecting, for every 10 home, you see that it's just a home that is free. So that is already posing a threat. That's a security threat. You are afraid. You see people, I'm going for this, I'm going for that. And the fact that there's the amenities to cope this particular ailment, it's no longer there. They are not, even if they are there, they're not efficient because maintenance culture is zero. You are going to the hospital. How many times do you meet these dialysis centers, and are they affordable? So this is just the first major threat. Then the second major threat is, what we are seeing now from the farm, and what we are seeing when it comes to how people go to the farm. How many people go to the farm now? That's a huge security threat. You see that because people don't do the usual those days, going to the farm is exciting. You can go, people can spend their whole days on, But now it's not like, even in the villages, the farm culture is limited. People are no longer visiting the farms. What is happening? You see that you go to the farm, you're being attacked, you're being this, you're being that. Then the few crop yield that they have is either they are being exposed to, pollution, it's either being exposed to rodents, something is coming to attack their crops. Then the ones also that they are able to harvest, you see that the harvest is not bountiful or it's not nutritious enough because the plant started dying before growing.
Very true.
It's just like you are telling yourself you want to build a mansion, you want to do this. Before you even erect your mansion, you first see yourself building a mud house. So and you're wondering what switched it. Are my village people in action?
Very true.
So that's what is happening. There's so many more of them. And because of that now, people are now, that's why you see us now encouraging people, you can't go there, home gardening. But even with the home gardening, where's the space? So these things are posing huge food security threats. The food insecurity is on a high. Now they brought another grammar, genetically modified, so the grammar keeps
Exactly.
increasing. So there's so much. And it's a pity. It's a pity because I cry for what will become of our food in future. We'll get to that point where you say, okay, this rice you're eating, is it plastic rice? Is it
Exactly.
ceramic rice? Is it glass rice? Is it this rice? We were not there. We were not there, but we are going there. And God will help us, honestly.
Let's talk about GMOs and thoughts of plastic rice and all that. How did we get to this point where we're having GM? And a lot of people have that conception that GMOs are not really healthy for the body and all that. I just want to know more on that.
Now, the thing is, ideally, gene plays a huge role when it comes to living things. You see that it's something that transcends from birth down to everything it replicates. Now, same way it has to do with our plants. Directly, plants will have to source from somewhere. Now, because we have fewer people to pay attention and we have people to be patient enough, you realize that, I give an instance now. You have an opportunity to grow pawpaw. Then you see that you ask yourself, do I have that passion to do that? Now, when you begin growing that pawpaw to the point of ripening, now, because someone somewhere has told you that, oh, you're just growing pawpaw to eat for yourself, you're not serious, so start selling. Now, you start harvesting the pawpaw, and you see that it's yielding bountiful harvest. You take it to the market to sell. Then the next person by your side is doing the same business as you, and the person sold better than you. You're asking, what's magic? You get, you're seeing her pawpaw is no longer red. Let me give, and that's not the color though. It's now from red to purple. And you're wondering, and people are rushing her stand. What is the unique thing? Now, you never can tell if hers is artificial ripening process that has made that pawpaw catch the eye of people, because nobody wants to go for anything bitter. Already, we train our taste perception to, the taste perception should either be bitter, sweet, sour, but we want sweet, sour, and leave the bitter. For who? For who? So you see that because they are rushing, and the yield of hers is higher than yours, you now want to go towards knowing what her secret is. She's not going to share her secret with us. Of course, that's business strategy. Then someone now tells you, you have to do something to make this your pawpaw, attract the eyes of people, and you tilt towards using the other part of it, adding additives and sweeteners to improve the taste perception of that pawpaw. And you now forget that when you add some of those additives and sweeteners, they shorten the lifespan of that particular meal.
Okay.
So in shortening the lifespan of that pawpaw, what does it do? It exposes it early to either moth, to either decays, to either rots, name it. But you wouldn't know, because it's already clothed. It's just like saying some people are wearing clothes, but you don't know what's happening.
Exactly.
Now, it's clothed. It's now when the person who bought this thing comes to take it, you now start perceiving this awful smell. They start seeing, oh my goodness. Sometimes they may not even know. They'll consume it. And the reaction of whatever must have happened starts coming. You now start saying, am I having food allergies and all of that? So that is what happens. So the part of patience is where that has come in. The part of competition is where that has come in. The part of trying to meet up with what the society wants is where that has come in. Now, because you switched from who you were to who another person is, you ended up exposing the lives of others to danger.
Talking about exposing the life of others, I've heard where people use carbide to, ripen plantain and all that. And we're looking at the increase of cancerous diseases, lungs and all different kind of diseases that's at the rampage, which were not initially before now. Excuse
Sorry,
me.
darling.
A lot of people attribute it, it's because of ultra processed food. But we're ignoring this part now that you're coming out to say that because of that taste, that quest for sweetness and the sour, you said sweet, sour and bitter. Now nobody wants that bitter anymore. That's why we go for overly sweet food.
Good.
how do you think the effect on the turnout of people, what's the effect on the turnout of people, and comparing locally, food that we think are now safe that has been, modified, and looking at ultra processed food, how do you just oppose that?
Now, the thing is, when it comes to let me start with the one of using of carb. In fact, let me shock you, even if you're not a transformer, I will shock you. Do you know that people now add sugar to stew?
What? How?
Now, listen. I don't want to expose anybody, but this is the reality now. You see, you go to
Excuse me.
somewhere to eat. You know, our stew has its own taste. The taste does not come from the fact that you have prepared your stew. It began with the ingredients alone. Now, there is a taste that comes with your seed tomatoes itself. Already lycopene is there to give it that redness and to give it the richness. Now, that's separated. Then tomato paste itself has its own taste. That is when raw. You add it to your meal. You already know that whatever vegetable oil you're going for has its own taste. You've added to the meal. You add your little ingredients to the meal. It has improved it, right? Now, someone who doesn't want to do pest because you've heard that you want to limit, that's what happens to some of this, limit your approach of using processed foods. You want to do seed. Now, you bought your seed tomatoes and you realize that what you bought, in no time it would rot. Now, this is what they do. They prepare their meal because, of course, you know that if seed tomatoes rottens, you must certainly get that taste. Now, they suppress the taste with the addition of sugar.
Interesting.
Now, by the time they add sugar to it, it go this. We say, "Ha, mommy, yeah, you dey cook." Oh my God!
Okay.
You dey cook. That's one. Two, they add sugar to soups, sugar to yam, sugar to beans. In fact, thank God I've been privileged to be exposed to carrying out public speaking engagement in so many places. So sometimes when I go, they even use Emma to confess. One woman had to confess one day. She said, "I need to tell you the truth, my dietitian. I add sugar to my beans." I said, "Ma, what are you increasing?" She laughed. I said, you know that beans is naturally sweet.
Exactly.
So now you've added sugar. How would they start this prayer point? How? Who followed you? Because your village people at home. This one is city people followed you. She was laughing. I was like, then now, she said you just like everything. That is sweet, sweet. Then I now looked at her tribe and where she was coming. I understood where she was coming from. Because sometimes some of those things are understanding of food and attitudes towards food. So I now started telling her, you're not doing yourself a favor. Because instead of you doing sugar, why don't you add vegetables to the beans? It will help you, the fiber in it will help you to release, because already you know that the release of beans to the digestive is slow. And that's why you have some people having this complication of bloating, peristaltic movements, there is heartburn. They'll say beans is doing that. No, these are because already beans does not have the natural carbohydrate. Rather, it has a cellulose. It's a part of carbohydrate. So that's why they say complex carbohydrates don't release themselves easily to the bloodstream. And that's for beans. Now, that's what they do. I have been able to go to somewhere I wanted to peel the the melon seed, egusi. And I saw somebody use jik. So sorry I had to mention the name. One of these disinfectants to liquid disinfectant to wash. Now, do you know why she did that? She wanted it to give it that whitened appearance to attract people. So it's not just about the carbohydrate. There are so many things that I always tell people that sometimes if you listen to some of these revelations, you tell yourself you will not eat. But eat. Because my person wake up and I ain't get strength.
Straight up.
So now, back to what it has done. We have come to see that the ultra-processed foods are within us. You can't desist from them. the confessionaries and the rest of them. And besides, at developed countries, they do it that. They take their decision. But then, the best thing to understand is this. Thank God for knowledge and science evolving. People are beginning to go get healthy alternatives. If you're switching from I don't take yam to I take potato, how do you inculcate them to be healthier? That's where you see that you have healthy food swapping. Now, how do you make these your confectionaries to become good meals for you, therapeutic? Now, some of our dietitians now are going into learning the process of baking and the secrets behind it. Now, what do? They bring back our own ingredients, our own local spices, our own local herbs, which are medicinal, which our fathers used in time past, and nothing happened to them, and they have them in the bulk. Now, they use them to make some of these meals. Now, they will not use the usual table salt, table sugar. Some of them will not go for dates. Now, you can add date as your sweetener. You can add some of these fruits from this as your sweetener. They can come in juices if you want to make them in powder form. That's fine. Just your ability to be creative. Now, what you're trying to do is now they are alternating the initial artificial sweeteners and additive for the natural. And in other words, what you are just doing is to step down. By the time you've done that, you see that your food, no longer is like, no longer tasting like, oh, what's up, what's up. It's tasting like, I'm a village girl, and you are getting what you want. So if you cannot do away with, because we have them, our pastas, our spaghetti, and the rest of them, make them your healthy meal. Cook them where the body will accept them. And that's it.
Let's talk about people that engage in all this, I don't know if I should call it criminal offense just to, spice up food. Do you think it should be banned or it's something of criminal activity? I mean, just for profit or just to satisfy yourself at the expense of the other?
Of course, that is, it's a danger, and they know that what they are doing, it's wrong. But because I'm now grateful to our regulators, NAFDAC, SON, and the rest of them who are doing a good job. But what we want to plead with them is we want them to process the passing of the dietitian bill so that there is a regulatory council that will put a stop to some of these things. Already awareness is ongoing. We have intensified our awareness and done a lot of amazing things. Like for me, I do my outreaches. I did one on last week. Maybe November 14th was not last week. Last month though, to sensitize people. That I personally, my own project, I do that in markets. And you can imagine how those things can be when you do not have strong supports, the individuals are the ones that are keen in and all of that. Now, we wish if we are passing and we know that we have a council regulating some of these things, the dietitians on their own, they are already taking charge, but they are tired. They are tired. It's just like if I come to you now, like you're my friend, and I see that you are into this act, I won't have any power to do anything to you because I've already started becoming so soft towards the fact that you're my friend. Do you understand that reality that you're my friend? And again, I will now tell myself, I don't have a council that is backing me up, so I can't do anything. So all I can just do is do the usual, like I'm doing now, sensitize and preach and tell you what you're doing is not nice. Imagine, put your family, because once you do that and think, after all, you have to survive. After all, nobody cares. After all, you forget that you can have your own person outside the society buying from another person. And when the person comes, you are swearing, you are cursing, you are praying, But you as yourself did not clean the ones in your eye lock. And you didn't correct from yourself. So while we want to thank the regulatory bodies, we also want to plead with ourselves, individuals in your own space. Because everything you blame government, blame your own self first. What have you done that is safe when it comes to your food? What have you done and
Just
how?
so I ask your own perspective, do you think it's criminal, the act?
It is, of course. It is. It is. It is. It is criminal. It is. It is dangerous because anything that poses a security threat, of course, we know it is. But we can't be so hard on that for now because we know if we are having that access to our food, if our foods were affordable, I don't think people will do this. That's just the truth. It's just like now, at the beginning of this year, I witnessed where people now buy yam in slices, and I was like, have we gotten to this point? Because now only person will get plenty money, they buy one food tuber. Go ask someone now the current price of a crate of egg. But you know that you need egg. The body requires egg because as long as protein is concerned, egg is one of the rich sources of protein. That does not mean you can't get from other alternatives. But now egg is expensive. So you see, so when somebody now wakes up now to say, okay, since egg is expensive, I can get something close to egg, but the person uses the short route, will you blame that person? So that's where we are.
I mean, it's good that we draw the line. Each time we give excuses, this is my perspective. Each time we give excuses for a wrongdoing, or I term this as a criminal act because it is at the expense of someone else's life.
Yeah.
If we keep giving excuses for them, I mean, the economy is bad. You know, youth are joining cultism because there is no job. I think we give room for more of this act. And like you've called out, if the bill is passed for dietitians, I think it should be a full blow. Because we can't go on soft and then let them have their market still thriving on the side. I mean, that's on that one. Let's talk about eating habits. Let's calm down a bit and not so criminal. I mean, we're all about security here.
I understand. Feel free.
Okay, let's talk about eating habits now. Let's look at people who are into abuse, you know, drug addicts and a whole lot of them. We're looking at youth now. The statistics for youth taking drugs is going high. What do you think? How can you differentiate? Let's say I'm a mother. How can I tell, or a friend, how can I tell that my friend is a drug addict from his eating habit or her eating habit?
The first sign for someone who's an addict is that you tend to lose interest. There's this mental shift. There's this mental shift from the reality to what you pose as a reality, which is friction. I gave an instance. A drug addict will never see reasons to like meals or to consume meals because to him, this is the only thing that makes him or her happy.
Okay.
Do you understand? This is the only thing that makes him or her happy. So it's either that particular addiction is serving as a stimulant, stimulating, like giving it enough energy and alertness that, oh, as if taking this in, I don't high, I don't get the energy, nothing they happen. By the time you do, you run low battery. Now you go to tell yourself, when you wait here happen. So that's for that. Or it's kind of the person is seeing it as, oh, this is something that helps me to depress, It's something as a depressant, help you to alternate your moods, to see is a safe haven. Can you can't become lean your shoulder and let me lean your shoulder, all of those things can be fallacies. Because our meals, even our creator that gave Adam access to the meals had his reason. If not, he would have left him with all of that. Because he knew that feeding is so important. I always tell people, aside the air we breathe, the next important thing is food. But even the air we breathe need nutrients. Because the blood survives on nutrients. Without enough nutrients, you tend to see that pumping of blood becomes limited. Or the production of the oxygenated blood becomes limited, which is the good blood. You will now start wondering how. I can remember one of a relative of mine, when she got to that point where, he kept on talking to her, stop, all of them that were addicted to carbonated, stop, she was. When she got to that point where even insulin could not take care of it, if you should prick her fingers to check her blood, what you'll be seeing is dripping down was water. That was how bad it was, just bringing her. So that's how it is. For the addicted people, it's always that mental shift is there. And that's why now you see that we are tending to bring the relationship between mental health and nutrition. Mental health is one key particular discourse, though it has not come fully down to Nigeria, but most of our professionals outside Nigeria are depending and dealing well on that particular subject. Because already in the first place, everybody know well again. So let's deal with that matter.
A lot of people are saying that literally everybody in Nigeria is mad.
Yes, we are sick. Even me, self, I know where. So come to my aid and know. So I make clothes, no, they cover body. So that's it. So if we are able to, our mothers, a breastfeeding mother now, work on her mental health. What is the problem? How did the addiction come into play in the first place? Trace, by the time you start going through thorough assessments, you will find out the cause. Then you now start bringing out interventions. If it's something that you need, because sometimes it's not just about talking to her, because if you talk, you follow up. You follow up, it can be your succor. You can decide to tell her, start with, okay, since you like this, you can get this particular meal from this. It can help you. Okay, you like to take this. Okay, what if you take milk? Take calm milk and see how your brain will be calm. See what it gives to you. Milk contains lactose. Milk can be a carbohydrate meal. Milk can contain a lot of vitamins, protect you from diseases, fight your immune system, boost, by the time you start telling her, you also need it because you are also a lactating mother. Whatever the breast milk is producing, you are passing it on to your child. And that's why, currently now, children can be diabetic. It's no longer a new thing. A baby of 10 months can be diabetic. Then how? A baby of 6 months diabetic. Then how? Because these children are still, even if they've been weaned, they are still having a mix of breast milk and their solid food as a complementary feeding. They are taking them from whatever their mothers are giving them. So we need to work on that first. That shift, that mental shift, that place where they need to be mentally stable and understand that some of these abuse is affecting their nutrition. Then we are beginning to have solutions.
Indeed. You made mention of a relative of yours being addicted to, carbonated drinks. Is there how do you associate ultra processed foods and processed food like carbonated drinks and all that with addiction, like taking of substance? Because it's some people think it's like a slim line when you go from taking ultra processed food, carbonated drink, and then you're seeing insulin at the end of the day. So what's the association here?
The association there is the food and their ingredients. Like, I give an instance now. If you realize that you have bone challenges and you're told to increase your calcium intake, you know that there are so many foods that are rich in calcium. You have your egg, you have some of your meat, you have some of our carbohydrate foods are there, potatoes and the rest of them. Now, because such a person will say, if I eat this food, I've been eating it, what happened? Do you get? Now, the next option the person goes for is, let me do drugs. It's not a bad thing to do drugs because the beautiful thing about drugs is that they adverse effects, they work, sorry, it's not effects. Drugs works faster than what our food will process, especially when digestion is taking place, the length of digestion and all of that. Now, the person doesn't want that. He wants quick, sharp, omega, sharp.
Okay, just so I get you, when you say drugs here, like a medication.
A medication.
Okay,
not,
before our audience
yes,
would think we're not saying drugs is good.
So the medication, let me come down. The medication and coming down again, supplements.
Okay.
Now the person goes for supplements. Nobody's saying supplements are bad. They are amazingly beautiful because it comes to a point where they would have to recommend that. But that must come when other options have failed. And that's why some of these things have to be done with the guidance of professionals. Now, because the person wasn't patient enough to understand that the timing at which the body processes is food. Like now, you may take food today. Before this food I took today start working, will be next week. Because the body is already working on that which it has stored for last week. So it's a slow process. But because that person does not believe such works, the person goes for supplement. Then you now realize that some of the ingredients used to make our drugs can have effect on us and can pose an addiction. Like now you see that some people now, the body now becomes so engrossed with that medication. That's why some people can't do without medication. Some people say if you start, you don't start though. They can't do without it. So in order to slow them down from that medication, what do you do? Some people are very fast and smart to know what they do. They start reducing the dosages so that the person can easily, take off his or her hand from it. Now, if you abruptly stop that, what happens? The person now starts seeking alternative from these substances. So you see, that is where the relationship comes in. So you see that it's either the excitement you're getting from that particular drug was because it makes you to sleep, is a sedant, makes you to sleep, or it makes you to think of, it makes you to do this. I like the taste. There's so many things that comes with it. Or when I take it, it makes me more active. It doesn't make me down. So by the time you start looking out for some of these things, you find the next becomes the substances, and you will be shocked at how you become. That's why sometimes some of these drugs. Now I'm not looking at medication. I'm looking at the substances.
The drug substance, yeah.
Some of these drugs, before you are being given these drugs based on the thorough guidance and monitoring of a professional medical expert, before you are being given these drugs, sometimes you're made to write an undertaking. Of course, you will sign, and they will tell you, give you advice. Even the pharmacist will have to advise you on time, counsel you, are you going for it? So that anything that comes out of it on your own, so you can see. And they will also tell people, watch this person. So that the person will not start going back to this. Because if the person does not see this, the person will do this. So sometimes if the person does not see the drug abuse, the next thing becomes alcoholism.
Alcoholic.
So that's it.
So before we go further, let's take a short break
It's okay.
on this segment. Let's take a short break. We'll be right back. Dialogue. I know. If you're just tuning in, you've missed a lot, but I've been having a wonderful conversation with someone I tried to kill her name, which I'm not going to repeat. Okay, we'll be talking about modern eating habits, alcohol culture, and substance use, and our public security. Because we've said it, how we eat affect our lives affect our society. So let's come to, the nexus between young people eating habits and, substance abuse, how a lot of youth, do things. Currently, what is trending now on, televisions and news right now is how the NAFDAC and NDLEA are tracking people that are lacing cannabis with cookies and selling it. For the festive period, there was one of late that this had like a package of candy, but what was inside was like substance. So all that, how does this affect the youth? What's the nexus between all this?
It does, just like we're talking about people being so impatient, and it has tilted us towards those processed foods that we are running away from. And you don't also blame them because of the high food insecurity posing ourselves today. So you now see that, even not just cookies and candies, even the sweets we take. There's sometimes we take some of these as innocent as, let me just put it as innocent as cake. Some of these cakes, when you take them, sometimes the essence of most of them doing that is they try to, do to meet up with, like I said, the competition and sales. Some other time they do that to, help people who like sweeteners and all of that. But they forget that they slow down the shelf life of some of these foods, because already foods have been designed, and from their planting process to the time they are germinating, the different processes have been followed thoroughly. And where there is a sharp move, you see that particular plant begins to fade, begins to yield a fruit that is not supposed to be. And sometimes they end up yielding fast. And when you take them, they are not healthy. So in other words, let's also look at what do we take, what do we buy, vendors on the roads, how do we see them? Thank God now that not every, there comes a time when we were addicts of malls, Nigerians, we are addicts of here, there. It's not so bad to visit them. Let's no one get me wrong. It's not bad to visit them. They are people's businesses and they're striving well. But if you mustn't go there, do you? Do your home, get what you have within your space. And as young people, patience is the key. We are becoming too addicted with what we're seeing online. Too many things are going online. In fact, every day you'll be eating vegetables. Are you a goat? You know, are you eating, so many eggs at the same time? It's not a keto diet where you increase your ration of egg, forgetting that at the end of the day, when there's absence of carbohydrate in a meal, and the body tends to tilt towards a particular nutrient, it becomes an issue. There's this accumulation of ketoacidosis, and it's not. These are all the things we do. At the end of the day, you may get your results, no doubt. Of course, you may get your burnout, but what becomes of you in future? How do you tend to? Because it's one thing to get a rapid weight loss result, another thing to maintain it. Then you see what you now see what you see online from celebrities and all. You want to tell towards your story. They have their reasons for doing that. So let's try. Let's try as young people. In other words, when we do that, we also protect our mental health. Very important.
Let's talk about alcohol. There's this back and forth on banning sachet alcohol. And let me tie this to, processed food and cakes and all that. Some people actually put alcohol in cake just to preserve it. And with this, a lot of people knowingly, indirectly, get addicted to alcohol, to alcoholic substance, because they like the whole taste and all that. Now, with the ban of sachet alcohol, do you think crime would be reduced in Nigeria?
It's not, I would say, it's not just alcohol that increases crime. So many things do. So, but that is one of the many, because we have been talking about mental health, and of course, when you become an alcoholic. But the thing is, it's not even about the crime. One of the things alcohol does is that alcohol tends to obstruct the absorption of our nutrients, and that is why someone who is an alcoholic can never have the satiety for food. Satiety for food is having the satisfaction for food. You will see that even if you give him a bowl of a plate full of eba and soup, he can only pick just two bowls, and it's because to him his fullness comes from alcohol. And even if those two balls come in, the alcohol is just like you have your river. It just suppresses the ball, pushes it in a way that the ball is not being seen. What passes down will be more of the alcohol to the bloodstream. And that's why sometimes you see that from these alcoholics, they are weightless. Not that they are not, because they are alcoholics, they must be very tiny. And no, internally they are weightless because they have not given the body enough nutrients to pass on. Remember, we always talk about nutrients meeting up to individual needs, and it's not. So that's where the challenge comes from. So if we are able to curtail that, work on that, and you see that most of them, at the end of the day, they are number one fans of Oto. Let me use our body like, well, that's Gary, Oto, and Bonzo, that's beans. Or their favorite is always all these noodles and the rest of them. You see that they love slimy foods, or those foods that they think are just easy to, when they pass it down, they can easily do what they do. But at the end of everything, do you get enough nutrients from this meal? Because these meals, they have little or no calories in them. So they are not rich enough to meet up what you want, and they are hungry the next minute. So in other words, you're asking yourself, are you now eat and grow tiny? Where are all the meals going to? You want to become Tom and Jerry. I remember Tom and Jerry when he was drinking water, the tea has spores. As he was drinking, the water was passing from the spores. So that's what happens. So you see that someone it's an alcoholic can never. No matter how it takes, even if you take him to a bar, give him all the whole pepper soup and all, he feels satisfied with the alcohol he's taking.
And come to think of it, that a lot of youths, rather than eat normal food this time around, because of that abuse, that substance, they rather, go for junky foods.
Of course, that's what the youths are for now. They want to do junky because, just like I told you initially, if you have your yam and oil and you're eating your yam and oil, which you should be proud of, you see that somebody is like, no, 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 I cannot. I don't take yam and oil. You're taking tea. You know for yourself. Ask yourself within yourself. Say, tea no be your thing. But because you want to meet up with the trend, because you don't want to be seen as, let me use our word, Jew person. So they do picky. And sometimes another thing that alters that picky habit is if it's not coming from the family, it comes from your environment.
Okay.
So most times in school, I think that's another place where some of these things are being altered. When you're being exposed to the boarding school, you come to the undergraduate days, time, that's lecture factor. You see that how many times do you even have time to cook your meals in the school? So even pleading with restaurants as well. If you know that these young people, because of they're trying to meet up with their grades, nobody wants to take. If you try and take carryover in any Nigerian university on your own, because you ride that cost till you faint. So it's an experience for me, and it's really at some point I didn't even know I was tilting towards having stress ulcer until one day, because then I was bigger than this. I was very big, so I was always using my big weight. I'm like, okay, hey, enough weight to carry. The day my eye did me an aeroplane turner, I mean, sit down, say, somebody said, do you want to die? I said, no, not yet. We still have plan. So, and I started understanding. And now, being fully involved as a professional, those things can alter the scene. That's for that. And that is why you see that they will end up buying what they want to buy, doing carbonated, doing picky. Most of them are picky eaters. Most of them.
So let's talk about young people that are bound in drug abuse and can't come out. How can food dieting help them? Can food dieting help them come out from abuse addictions and all that? And how can it help them?
Yes, it can. It can. Just like I'm telling you now that though it has not 100% come to stay, and that is why we are praying that once our bill is passed and the dietitians have their counsel, it will help to make a lot of dietitians specialize well. It will not just give dietitians the stay in the clinics niche and all of that. Like for me, I'm a media dietitian, and what I do is radio TV, any radio TV, sensitizing and talking. That does not separate me from, I do my consultations, I see my patients, right? So now we're having this aspect of mental health and nutrition, which is the key one sensitive part, because we have talked about mental health, and I think it's even coming from the general mental health of a thing. I realize that it's not even about our nutrition part
Excuse
now.
me.
That psychologists are paid little or no attention, but we need them, because psychology does not necessarily mean when you think somebody is mad. Last week I was very down. I was very depressed, and I needed someone to share with. Funnily, I can't even share with any member of my family. It's not. It wasn't something serious. The only person I could call was my spiritual father, because I know it doesn't necessarily. I don't. It's not about the prayers. I just wanted to share, so that it relieves me, because I'm not thinking it to be a spiritual thing, but I just wanted to share. And immediately I shared with him, I was like, you know yourself now. Trust what you can do. Now you again. And that may just be the word I wanted, something that would ginger me to remember who I am. So it comes down to this. The youth, especially when it comes to this abuse, come to their modern eating, is to remind them of who they are. We had a root, and that root came from our fathers. Now, why are we shifting away from what our fathers began with? Our fathers survived on after all, our fathers ate these living, creeping things we are seeing today. My father will always tell me that those days during the war, they ate lizard, they ate cockroach, and they survived. And funnily, these things that you see, and they have a lot of nutrients. Somebody was telling me the other day that, do I know that a colleague was telling me that crocodile has the highest, is the highest nutritious meal that you can consume. I said yes. He said, how do I know? Because it eats a lot of fishes. So you see that our foods, because they are sourced from either the animal or plant, whatever the plant consumes is what you get. Whatever the animals consume is what you get. It's just like if you take a lot of goat meat, you see that what it is a mixture of, it's is a herbivore. So you eat part of what is eaten as a plant food. That's why it says a lean meat, because the plant food is more like the vegetable. So it will not give you that fatty accumulation that you get.
Okay, just to wrap it up there, how can, healthy diet be promoted among the youth, and what's that one advice you have for the youth?
The one advice I have for the youth is live a healthy lifestyle. How do you do that? Healthy lifestyle begins from now that you're a young person, because if you don't get it right now, you won't get it right when you start raising a family. It starts with you. It starts with the time when you start bringing forth your family. It continues to generations to come. Secondly, the awareness is now. We are all preaching it. Not everything you see on the internet is what is the truth.
Exactly.
Try to seek professional advice. Try to know what is right. Nutrition deficit is killing our society. People are thinking that they have the nutrition knowledge, but they do not. And they are depending so much on fallacies and myth. Oh, they say if you eat, you don't, in fact, don't eat carbohydrate food. Then what happens? Then what is bread called? Okay, fat and oil food. So
Okay.
things like
On
that.
that, I think it's a wrap. Thank you so much. Let me
Aw.
get your name right. Rosvalene.
Aww.
Okay, at this point, I think I really deserve my rose. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for joining us here
Thank
on
you for
360 Youth Dialogue.
thank
But
you for
because of
having
time, I think it's
me.
a wrap here.
Aww. Somebody wants to do. Oh, they dash me. This one is they're chasing me away.
No,
Aww.
I mean you've
Thank you
said
so
so much,
much.
and
Yeah, thank
with one
you.
thing I would take away from this is how, the young people, if we seek counsel on our diet, it could help us, come up from addiction and addictive substance,
Sure.
which has killed a lot of people in our society, especially the youth. Thank you so much once more, and to
Thank
our
you.
audience. Pay attention to what you eat.
Of
Like she said,
course.
not all the things you see out there are what it is. Some cookies that you buy, check the contents, check what it is. When you go to the market to buy your food, a lot of things are going out on there in the market. Check what you're buying and ensure that safety comes first. Thank you for joining us here in 360 U Dialogue. My name is Juliet Ora.